is through the practicing of the Anapana Smriti. And that is why when you look at the whole practice that we are going, as we go deeper into it, we realize that the practice looks simple on the outside, but it is very, very intricately or designed, going all the way 2500 years back from the Buddha himself. And we are practicing the same Anapana Smriti that Buddha practiced. And maybe we will be able to experience the same thing if we do it with the same honesty and sincerity. We will be experiencing the same peace that Buddha experienced. And that's what we want today. We want peace, because the efforts for prosperity, when done with peace, will definitely give us the results what we want. Namaste and good morning, everyone. So today we are again gathering to study the Maha Anapana Smriti Sutra, and today we're going to study chapter 4. Okay, so today is a long chapter, so let's not waste time. And just to let you get a brief idea of what exactly we are doing now in chapter 4 is to understand the what basically Anapana is and Sati is. So you can go to the slide. Yeah, you can go to the slide. You click on the window. Okay, you need to go back. Yeah, it stops at the last place. Go back. No problem. Okay, so we did study the Maha Ānāpāna Smriti Sutra. We started our studies of the Maha Ānāpāna Smriti Sutra. To let you know, this is translated from Chinese to English by Acharya Nagajiv. So that's our own beloved Dr. Lim. And basically, initially it was translated from Sanskrit to Chinese by a Persian king named Anshekhar. Okay, so people who have no idea of what it is, you'll have to go to the previous episodes to know more about it. So let's move to the next slide. Okay, yeah. So in the first chapter, we studied what Buddha was actually practicing Anapana, and this endorses us that this practice is the practice that comes directly from the man who talks about realization, the man who's giving us the path, the step-by-step guide into how to achieve what he has achieved and what he called nirvana. Everybody can achieve, and he laid down the foundation of the practice. And when he is saying that he practiced almost 90 days of Anapana, that means it shows the importance of the practice of Anapana. Let's move to the next slide. So along with that, we also studied in the second chapter the Anapana and Smriti and what do they exactly mean. We went deep into understanding what is Ana, what is Apana, what is Smriti, and then we went in chapter 3 last week, and in that we were doing the counting of the breath and the 6 gates. And we realized how these 6 gates were like a lotus flower blooming all together, one after the other. The outer petals open first, along with that, but synchronically, like a dance, the inner petals also follow them. So one who starts the practice of Sunya, once he starts his red belt, he's actually started to open up all the other 6 belts also. So it is that what we studied last time, and the importance of counting of the breath, because there are a lot of debates on the counting of the breath, and people were talking about references. So we have a very, very in-depth reference of how important counting of breath is. So today we are going to study chapter 4. Chapter 4 says practicing of Anapana and Smriti. Again, if you see, there will be most of the things coming repetitively, because you need to understand this was also a compilation. When Anshekar was taking up all the details, he was compiling. So he had to bring in all different material from different people who had the information at that time, because remember, it was around 150 years post Buddha's Mahaparinirvan. So it was the closest reference. So he still picked up all those and brought them under one sutra, that's the Maha Anapana Smriti Sutra. So let's start the chapter 4. O monks, the purpose of a yogacharin to practice the Anapana Smriti is to achieve Samadhi. How to achieve Samadhi? Now, yogacharin is a term that was used for all those people who were practicing yoga. Yoga was their achara. So achara means their behavior. They used to always be doing all the activities in complete union with themselves, not separating themselves out. Hence, they were aware of what they were doing. So such a person, such a practitioner of meditation was called as a yogacharin. And here it is said that, O monks, the purpose of a yogacharin to practice Anapana Smriti is to achieve Samadhi. Why does one practice Anapana Smriti? Is to achieve Samadhi. How to achieve Samadhi? First, okay, you can go to the next. Okay, first must understand the meaning of Anapana and Smriti. What is Ana? What is Apana? We have studied this, but this is a recap again. Ana means inhale. Apana means exhale. Mind and breathing are not separated and are known as Anapana. So you need to know these words. So the inhalation is Ana and the exhalation is Apana. Mind and breathing, they are not separated. Okay. So basically every breath that is going in and out is also reflecting the mind. And the mind is basically also coming in and out. So mind's existence and the breath, they're both together. Okay, so understand this. So when we are saying the mind, the Ana and Apana, that means it is basically the breathing. Breathing also means the mind, because both cannot be separated. The Smriti or mind focusing, the aim is to achieve Samadhi. Smriti or mind focusing, what is that for? We studied what Smriti was, Samatha and Vipassana. So what is that for? Focusing of the mind was to achieve Samadhi. And this is why it's very important that Anapana means understanding the mind, because that's where the mind is, and Smriti is to focus on the mind so that we achieve Samadhi. Next slide. O monks, for the existing yogacharin and new learners, there are 4 ways to practice Anapana Smriti. So maybe that in those days also, there were practitioners who were well versed with the practice of Anapana, or they were practicing other methods. So for a yogacharin who were well versed, as well as who were newcomers, who were new joinees, who were first time practitioners, for both of them, there are 4 ways to practice Anapana Smriti. Now we need to know the 4 ways. Also, removal of the 2 corruptions, practice the 16 self-realizations. All these are the correct ways to practice Anapana Smriti, which can lead to Samadhi. So how? First, you have to have the 4 ways to practice the Anapana Smriti. You need to remove the 2 corruptions. We'll get to know what these corruptions are. Practice the 16 self-realizations. We need to understand what those 16 self-realizations are. And these are the correct ways of practicing the Anapana Smriti. And when you practice these, you automatically go to Samadhi. Okay. What are the 4 ways? The first is counting. Second is following. Third is focusing. Fourth is observing. Now you see, we had studied this. This is the gates opening up. So what are the 4 ways of actually practicing Anapana? One is counting. We do that when we practice our reverse count, we practice a double count. We are actually, what we are doing is counting. Second is following the breath. We do that also. It is very, very nicely interwoven in your practice. When you're counting, you're also following. But if you look at our practice, the red belt, the orange belt, the yellow belt, the green belt, we flip-flop between static and dynamic, samatha, vipassana. So here it is saying that first is counting, the second is following, third is focusing, and fourth is observing. If you see, these are the 4 ways, but you cannot practice them separately. It has to be together, because these gates are opening together, not one after the other. I cannot say I can count first and then I will follow. No, I have to follow also while I am counting. I have to also focus while I am counting. I also have to observe that I don't lose my focus while I am counting. All these 4 are the right ways of practicing. So when you are practicing Sunya, you're basically putting yourself engaged into 4 things. One is counting, the other is following, the third one is focusing, and the fourth one is observing. You're doing all 4, and that is the right way of practicing Anapana Smriti. What are the 2 corruptions? First is the carelessness and overcount more than 10. Second is the confusion and lose the count to 10. Now, if you look at the practice, when you're counting and you realize that you're careless, so you can miss your count. When you're doing your reverse count, you miss your count. You suddenly, when you're told to count reverse, you suddenly start counting forward. That is carelessness, because your mind is not paying attention. Okay, that is one corruption. Second is when you're told to count from, say, 1 to 10, and you cross that and go 11, 12, 13. That is again corruption, because it is confusion. You were confused till which point you had to stop, and you went on. So these are 2 corruptions that when you are practicing Shunya also, you should be aware. If you keep these 2 corruptions away from you, then you are practicing Anapana Smriti in the right way. What are the 16 excellent self-realizations? This is because now self-realization, people thought it was one great enlightenment process. No, here you are seeing that it is being divided into 16 different parts. So how minutely, how surgically the breath realization has been divided into 16 parts. And this is exactly when you practice Shunya, you also experience that. So what are those 16 self-realizations? When, let's take one. When the breath is long, a monk knows that the breathing is long. So when it is long, when you're practicing, the Shunyati knows that the breath is long. When the breath is short, a monk knows the breathing is short. So here you know the length, long or short. When the body moves, when breathing, a monk knows the body moves when breathing. Fourth, breathing is soft. A monk knows it is soft. Okay? When you practice, you realize this yourself. You don't need a third person to tell you. You see your breath is soft. You see your breath is long. You see your breath is short. You see now your body is moving. No, you don't need anything. You realize it yourself. So remember the first 4 sets. Okay? Long, short, body moving and soft. These are the first 4 sets you personally realize when you practice the Anapana or when we say Shunya. Fifth, okay, breathing is fast. Monk knows the breathing is fast. Breathing is slow. The monk knows the breathing is slow. When the breathing stops, the monk knows the breathing is stopped. When the breathing does not stop, the monk knows the breathing does not stop. Here again, very important. For next 4 sets, okay. When the breathing is fast, we know it is fast. When it is slow, we know it is slow. When it stops, we know, oh, it stopped. When it does not stop, we know it does not stop. Another 4 realization. You don't need another person to tell you that. So by now you have got 8 self-realization about your own breath. Okay? Remember, when I say breath is also the reflection of the mind. So every time, because mind we cannot see, we don't know, but only the way you can see the mind is through the breath. Okay? And that's where we are, when we have the realization of the breath, we are actually having a realization of our own mind. 9. Feeling joy, okay, from breathing. A monk knows he is feeling joy from breathing. Does not feel joy in breathing. The monk knows that he does not feel joy in breathing. Mind detaches from all matters, knows that all are gone and does not return. A monk knows the mind detaches from all matters and knows that all is gone and does not return. Okay? Inner mind ceases thinking while breathing. A monk knows the inner mind ceases thinking while breathing. Another set of 4. Okay, let's quickly go through. When you are actually practicing Sunya and observing the breath and you're counting and everything, you feel that joy. You know that that joy came in. You felt good. But suddenly you say, no, I don't feel good again. So feeling joy and not feeling joy, you are only experiencing it. You are self-realizing it. Okay. Then when your mind detaches from all matters, you know that was a point where suddenly the mind was not wandering anywhere. It had detached from all matters and that matter did not come back again. I had a thought, but it detached itself, but again it did not come back. So when you know that, that's another realization that you're getting. Inner mind ceases thinking. There is a point where you realize that your mind is not thinking. That again is your realization. You don't need another person to tell you that. Okay. 13. Detach from objective while breathing. A monk knows he detaches from objective while breathing. Failed to detach from the objective while breathing. A monk knows he failed to detach from objective while breathing. So detaching from an object while breathing, any objective that you're working on, any object you're working, you know that now I'm able to let go, I'm able to detach, I'm able to, something is trying to come to me, I'm able to set loose. I actually experience it myself. So that is my realization. Okay, I am not able to detach is again my realization. So I don't need another person to tell that. This is self-realization. Detaching from the mind and body while breathing. A monk knows he is detaching from the mind and body while breathing. When he is actually practicing also, when he comes to a point where he realizes that he is detaching himself from the mind, that means from the mind and the body while breathing. When he is focusing on the breath, counting, paying attention, following it, he realizes that he is detaching himself from the body. Even though something is scratching him, something, he doesn't care. He is already detached from the body, and even if the thought is coming, he is detached from the thought itself. So he is detached from the mind and the body, and he knows that. That is the most important thing. Failed to detach from the mind and body while breathing. A monk knows he failed to detach from the mind and body while breathing. Again, when he's failed to do the same of detaching himself from the body or the mind, getting distracted by the body and getting distracted by the mind, then he knows that. And that is also a self-realization. To experience something and you can talk about it, to experience something that you cannot talk about it, both ways you're still experiencing something. And this is what is self-realization. You see, 16 parts. In 16 different parts, when you're doing this practice of Shunya, you're diving deep into self-realization. And if you remember the 3rd chapter, the last statement we had was very, very crucial. It says, let me quickly go there. Yeah. When the mind is focused on the breathing, it knows it is agitated or soft. This is self-realization. Now, in that thing also they talked about self-realization. But if the mind does not know the breathing is agitated or soft, this is not self-realization. So when you're talking about self-realization, you're having 16 different points. One who can actually go through them is actually practicing the true Anapana Smriti of the Yogacharin that was practicing, say, 2500 years ago. Okay, let's move on. O monks, counting is singular, following is plural. Okay, counting is singular, you one after the other. Following is plural, you keep on following. Okay, focus, samatha is concentrated on one point. Observation, vipassana, is to analyze the mind. Returning is practicing the dharma, and cleansing is entered into the dharma. Now, this is the 6 gates we are talking about. Maybe a recap again. Counting is singular. Okay, when you're counting something, it is more to do with a single thing, one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's always singular. Plural is following. Means following is plural. When you follow something, you continuously follow. You don't let go of it. So it adds on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It goes on. It's gone in, it's coming out, it's gone in, it's coming out. You're following. So it's plural. It cannot be singular. So one is static, that is more singular. One is dynamic, which is more plural. Okay. Samatha is concentrated on a point. Okay, on one point. When we are focusing on one point, that is samatha. Okay, observation, vipassana, is to analyze the mind. The one that is focusing, we analyze it, whether it is getting lost, whether it is able to do that, like a kind of a super eye that watches the mind in action, is called vipassana. So, returning is practicing of the dharma. Returning is, we learned it last time also, when we are not able to do anything, we come back and do it again. That is returning, and we practice the dharma. What is the dharma was to pay attention, focus and observe. That was our dharma. So we were able to do that, bring it back. So that is returning. And through that, we cleanse ourselves. Cleansing is entering into the dharma. Because the dharma was to be focused and observe, because we are able to do that, return again and do that again, till the time at one point we are able to enter into the dharma. We are focused and we are able to observe. That's it. So this is how you practice the 6 gates. Next slide. Mindful of the counting. Up to the count of 10 is focusing. This is external dhyana. So what is external dhyana? When we are counting, when we are mindful of the counting, up to the count of 10 is focusing. This is external dhyana. So we are paying attention on the breath, and we are paying attention on the count of the breath. So that is external dhyana. Observing the body is filthy, messy. Following the emptiness is internal dhyana. So what is internal dhyana? When we are scanning the body, when we observe the body is filthy, messy, we understand what is emptiness, and we start following emptiness. That state of complete stillness is internal dhyana. So you need to differentiate these two. There is external dhyana when we are looking at the external aspect of our practice, and then the internal aspect of our practice, both dhyanas together. The practice of dhyana for not accepting corrupt thinking is known as detachment practice. And when we know those corrupt practices, remember we all those things, that the 2 things we learned, what were the 2 corrupt practices? One was carelessness, when we overcount, and second was confusion, when we lose the count. Okay, so these 2 carelessness, if we are out of that, okay, we are able to keep ourselves dhyana, not to get disturbed by these 2 things, not getting confused and not getting distracted also. We are able to practice what is called as the detachment practice. So people talk about detachment. They say, detach yourself, detach this thing, don't worry, let go of your problems. But you just cannot do that by will. because we don't have a free will like that we can just let go anything. There is always a conditioning that needs to precede any kind of a decision. So you need to condition yourself even to detachment. And nobody teaches us detachment. Everybody has taught us only one thing: attachment, attachment, attachment. And when you talk about detachment, people have the toughest time. So here is a practice that is guaranteeing you that if you keep yourselves away from the two corruptions, then you are able to actually do a dhyana detachment practice. Next slide. For smriti or mind focusing, to be mindful at the turning point of inhale and exhale. Do not give rise to corrupted thinking. During smriti training, observe that due to cause and conditions, the breathing begins. Due to the end of the cause and conditions, the breathing ends. When we detach from the cause and conditions, the breathing stops. This is the fourth jhana. Breathing stops and skin breathing takes over. Very important. Now let's first understand smriti or mind focusing. When we say smriti, remember samatha vipassana together. Okay. To be mindful at the turning point of inhale and exhale. When you're actually observing your breath, when you're looking at your breath going in and you see it turning and coming up again, you are mindful at that turning point. And you see that turning point. It's a very important phase. We don't forcibly teach you, we make people to self-realize it. So when you come to the point where you can see that turning, okay, you see that it does not give rise to any corrupted thinking at that point of turning, because nothing arises at the point of turning. During smriti training, observe that due to the cause and conditions, when you're also observing, you will realize due to cause and conditions, this breathing happens. The breathing begins due to the end, because of the cause and conditions, the breathing starts. Because of the cause and condition ends, the breathing ends. You know that. So when you're practicing, you realize this is happening because there is some reason behind this breathing to happen. When we detach from the cause and conditions, when all the cause and conditions are gone, you will realize the breathing stops. Now you would wonder, how is that possible? But you sit, and when you practice Sunya, you realize that first you're able to count your breath, and you realize it's all the mental thing. The mind is trying to do the breath, and you realize, oh no, you don't let the mind do it. You have to just observe. And when you observe your breath, slowly your mind starts calming down. When the mind calms down, your breath calms down. And when your breath calms down, your mind still calms down. The loop continues till the point your breath becomes longer, smoother, softer, as if it does not exist at all. And there are many instances of people who seem to have stopped breathing, technically have stopped breathing. It's completely like skin breathing. Everything happening without effort. And that is because the cause, the conditions that actually gave rise to the breathing are no more there. The mind has become so still without any thought, there is no need for it to exhibit its existence through breath. Okay, remember this. So an agitated mind is the mind that causes conditions, okay, for which things start to arise. The mind starts arising. Remember, we studied what causes the mind to arise is an agitated mind. O monks, okay, next slide. Breath counting is sincerity. Now another quality which is automatically trained for the person who is counting breath, sincerity. This is very, very rarely found now. People are not sincere in anything. But here, when one starts counting the breath, his sincerity begins. Focus on the breath without confusion is the practice of endurance. When one focuses on the breath without confusion, he is practicing endurance. He is able to practice without losing his count. He has learned the art of staying focused and endure whatever comes that is what is the quality that one achieves. So sincerity and endurance are the two qualities that come when you actually start doing the breath counting. Count the breath until it becomes soft and subtle, no longer feeling the in and out of the breath. By this we can focus on one mind, that is samadhi. So samadhi defined very clearly that count the breath until it becomes soft and subtle. Keep on counting your breath. Keep on counting your breath until it becomes soft and subtle. No longer feeling the in and out of the breath. Even the feeling that the breath is going in and out is no more there. By this we can focus on the mind, on one mind. With this we know that our mind, which was split into hundreds of minds, is now retracted back into one mind, and that state is called samadhi. And you can understand that because you can experience it yourself. You don't need a third person to tell you, hey buddy, you have gone into samadhi, hey, you've got enlightened. You don't need anybody to tell you. You can realize it yourself. Next slide. Breath can be in the body and out of the body. Due to cause and conditions, breathing happens. This is because the karma is not yet exhausted. When the cause and the conditions are detached, breathing is stopped. So here it is being explained like breath can be in the body and out of the body. Again symbolic, the mind can be in and out. Due to cause and conditions, breathing happens. Because of cause and condition, breathing happens. This is because the karma is not exhausted. Remember what is karma? We said anything that gives rise to the mind will definitely give rise to karma. So when the karma is there, the cycle of breathing will continue. The mind will exist. Till the time the mind will exist, the breath will continue. So this will go together. So the karma is not exhausted. Hence the breathing will continue. When the cause and conditions are detached, breathing is stopped. When all the cause and conditions are detached and the mind is achieved that complete stillness, is no more in any kind of an agitation, absolutely still, breathing also becomes still automatically. Okay, that means the breathing is stopped. Okay, it doesn't mean death. This is totally different. This is stilling the mind and stilling the breath. Oh monks, okay, breath counting can lead to the second jhana. Why is it so? Without attachment to thinking, one can enter into second jhana. Now, continue practice can lead to third and fourth jhana. Before this also we came with a word called jhana. Jhana basically is a Pali word for dhyana. Okay, so one can enter. So there are 4 dhyanas. Let's go quickly with what these jhanas are. You see, we had the study that we did on the 5 evils that are there. That sloth, we had doubt, we had ill will, greed, sensual desire. All those things were there, and they were the kind of the blockers or the obstructions in our practice of Sunya or in Dhyan. So these, when you enter the first jhana or dhyana, you are able to detach yourself from all these 5 hindrances, you can say. The 5 hindrances that prevent you from practicing. The first dhyana will set you free from them, but you have not gone totally free. So you know that, and that detachment from the external world and the consciousness of joy and happiness starts coming in. You start feeling a little joy because they have gone away. All those things, my laziness, my greed, and all those things have gone away, and my hindrances have gone. Hence, I feel a kind of little joy and happiness in practicing. And that is your first jhana. Then when you go to the second jhana is when these 2, you just click on that. It's a PDF only. Yeah, second jhana. When what happens is, if you look at the slide, those two things where you are able to put your focus in different, everything becomes easy. Now you start experiencing a kind of happiness and rapture, one pointedness, but you are still not completely free. You still are there if you don't practice. So concentration with suppression of reasoning and investigation. The mind that was continuously in the probing mode of finding out why, how, trying to prevent something not coming, investigating everything, that has stopped. And now you are not in that. You have suppressed that particularly investigative mode of your mind, and now you are actually in a more concentrated phase. This is your second jhana, and here you can experience happiness, rapture. In the third jhana, you'll see that even that happiness and rapture, the joy is also gone. You are more able to stay in peace, in one pointedness. And this passing away of joy is like a sense of contentment, or you can say a sense of joy that comes along. Is that joy, that feeling of joy has gone, but a kind of contentment comes in, and that is you are able to stay focused whatever it is. Neither joy, nothing disturbs you. Forget the five hindrances, even that does not affect. That is your third jhana, and then you go into the fourth dhyana. So they happen, they are like a spectrum. Okay, they happen. Now in this you are basically passing away into a what is that? Passing away
of ease also.
So now in this stage, you actually the comfort and ease with which you are practicing dhyana is also gone, and now you are automatically in that state. You have achieved that state. These are the four dhyana levels that are cultivated automatically because of your practice of the Sunya or Anapana Smriti. Let's go back to our Anapana Smriti. Okay, so this was just a quick brief. We'll go detail someday into the four dhyanas, but here we should understand that continued practice can lead to the third and also to the fourth jhana. O monks, counting the breath is not yet the practice of Smriti. We know this. We have studied that last time also. Just counting the breath is not the practice of Smriti. But if the mind focuses on breathing, then it is Smriti. Counting is not Smriti. But if the mind is focusing on the breath, then it is Smriti. Okay, so otherwise people can say 1, 2. That's not Smriti. That's not at all Smriti. But you sitting, you just counting your breath, but your mind is focused on the breathing and the counting together, then you are in Smriti. And that is why Smriti means Samatha Vipassana. Remember this. Okay, next slide. Breath counting is to detach the external factors. Following the breath is to detach the internal factors. When you count the breath, you detach yourself from the external factors, all the factors that disturb you from the outside. When you follow the breath, you detach yourself from the internal factors that disturb you from the inside. When counting the inhale, it is to detach the external. When you count the inhalation, you are actually detaching from yourself from the external. When you detach the external cause and conditions, okay, naturally when you are counting the inhalation, you are detaching yourself from the external causes and conditions. If you count the exhale, you detach yourself from the internal cause and conditions. Okay, so that is why inhale and exhale are important. That is why Ana and Apana both are important. When you count and pay attention on the inhalation, you're detaching yourself from all the external causes. When you're paying attention on the breath going out, your exhalation, you're detaching from all that is internal, leaving everything internal. Okay, detach the external. Next slide. Detach the external, the body. Detach the cause and conditions. Detach the internal, the mind. Detach the cause and conditions. Okay, detach the external. When you are detached from the external, the body, detach the cause and conditions. Actually, external means the body. So when you're detaching yourself, when you're counting and you're paying attention on inhalation, you're detaching yourself from the body. Okay, when you're actually counting the exhalation and paying attention on your exhalation, you're detaching from the mind, which is internal, and the cause and conditions of the mind that cause it. Detaching both from body and mind is practice of following the breath. How do I practice following the detaching both mind and body? I don't want to be attached to, or detach both from both of them, the body and the mind, is by following the breath. You see, one way is to detach from the external world, one way is to detach from the internal world, one way is to detach from the body, one way is detached from the mind. But how do I detach and remain detached from both of them together? Follow the breath, because breath is not attached to anything, and hence following the breath means to be not attached to anything. Inhale and exhale are two different things. Both are to be treated separately. That is why inhalation and exhalation are two separate things, and that is why they need to be treated separately. So what did we learn? One, when you focus on your inhalation, you cut off from the external world. The body is gone. You detach from the body. When you focus on the exhalation, you're detaching from the internal world, the internal causes and conditions and factors, the mind. Now to detach from both, I have one technique. Follow the breath, and you're detaching from both. Okay, that is exactly what we do in a very systematic manner when we practice our reverse count, then a double count, and we are in. This is very, very, you can say practically soon into our Shunya practice, and that is why the outcome is so amazing when you're practicing Shunya, because we have all these ingredients. Dr. Lim has very, very nicely interwoven in the practice and made it simple for us. Next slide. The breath counting is to detach from internal and external causes and conditions. What are the internal and external causes and conditions? 6 roots of the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and thinking is internal. The 6 bounds of form, sound, smell, taste, touch and mind are external. We should always detach ourselves from both these internal and external causes and conditions as stated in the above. We saw following the breath can help us detach from the body and the mind, both external and the internal causes. So, breath counting is also to detach from the internal and external conditions. What are the internal and external conditions? So, here it is mentioned that when you look at your 6 sense organs, which are the 6 sense organs? Your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body and also your mind, that thinking. These are your internal sense organ and their roots. So when you have these, you can say you have the internal eye, the internal ear, these are sense organs. And then you have the objective eye, right? The objects that they involve, that is the external organs. So form, when you look at an image, that's external. When you have sound, that is external. Smell, taste, touch and the mind also are external. So we should learn to not get attached to neither form, all these senses and also the mind, and neither the roots of these sense organs, which is internal. Okay, if we are not attached to them, then we are not attached to external and internal factors. O monks, focus on breathing is to lead the mind into emptiness. Okay, when you focus on breathing, you're leading your mind into emptiness. Remember, emptiness is not void. You're talking about emptiness means complete stillness. Okay, the aim is to stop the activities of thinking. What is the aim? Is to stop the activities of thinking, stop the agitation of the mind. Why following the breath can lead to emptiness? Because the breathing is neutral and it does not arouse any action. Okay, because why do you think is the breath can lead somebody to emptiness, why it can lead you to shunya, is because it's only the breath that is happening to us which does not do anything. With the breath, what can you do? Even if it does anything, it does not technically do anything, and hence it is neutral, because it does not create an action but is reflective of an action that can be created. You should understand that the breath is the safest way to observe the mind. Okay, you cannot say, I want to observe somebody's mind, okay, whether he's angry. Getting a punch on your face and then, oh, I understood he's angry. That's a very different way. Okay, that's not the way. But looking at his breath, if you realize his breaths have already gone, you know, oh, this guy is angry. But he has not created anything. By only looking at it, we see the mind. So similarly, breath is neutral. It has not done any action, and hence it does not arouse any action. Because it does not arouse any action, we can 100% be sure to depend on it and get attached to it, because it is never going to be converted into action. And because it is never going to be converted into action, we are never going to be into the loop of creation. We are going to be free, and hence this is the only way. The breath is the only way. The following of the breath is the only way that leads us to emptiness. That's shunyata, okay, or shunya. While breath counting, the mind becomes loose and does not detect the count. So when you're doing your breath counting and the mind gets loose, is lost somewhere and is not able to detect the counts, this is due to bad karma and careless mind. Bad karma and careless mind. Where does the bad karma come from? Because your mind is agitated. Remember, all the karma, the good karma and the bad karma. The good karma, all the actions taken with a still mind, calm mind, good karma. All the actions taken with a bad or agitated mind is bad karma. Okay, so when you're not able to pay attention on your count and miss the count, is because of your agitated mind and your careless mind. Because bad karma leads the mind astray, the yogacharan is not aware. Because this bad karma, it takes the mind away, and the yogacharan is not aware of it. Okay, but you look, when we practice shunya, there is no way we will be lost, because we know, that we have missed it, we have lost it, we have to bring it back. So we bring our back mind again into action. When the yogacharan achieves the samadhi, the counting may become a burden. Then the counting of breath can be stopped. Okay, so at a point when the yogacharan achieves samadhi, okay, the counting may become a burden. He suddenly starts feeling this counting is becoming a burden, boring. At that point, the counting of the breath can be stopped. So if you see in our practice also, the red belt, the orange belt, the yellow belt, and we come to a point where at yellow belt we realize, that if you're practicing for too long, you have to let go of that also, and there is no more counting. And that is when we say that the person is already entering into samadhi. So then breath counting can be stopped. Doing this way, the yogacharan obtains the focus. Similarly, after that, focus on one mind, samadhi, and observes the mind, vipassana, without counting. That is the state where the person is able to focus on one mind, okay, without counting nothing. He is able to focus on the breath, but no need of counting. Okay, he is observing the mind, that's vipassana, without counting. Again, he is not even engaging the mind in the counting, nothing. So this is the stage that one has to reach. So remember, samatha leads to samadhi, okay, and vipassana leads to pragya, the wisdom that is cultivated. O monks, realizing that inhale and exhale have stopped, this is the sign of entering into samadhi. One realizes death and life no longer arise and can control the features of them. Till then, having reached the fourth dhyana, the mind becomes empty, laying the way for realization of the truth. Let's go back. O monks, no, same slide. O monks, realizing that inhale and exhale have stopped. There will be a point, if you keep on following your breath and practicing different levels of Anapana Smriti, there will be a point where your breath has stopped. This is the sign that you have entered into Samadhi. Don't need any, again I'm telling you, you don't need third person to tell you. You will have that self-realization that you have entered into Samadhi. At that point, one realizes death and life no longer arise. There's nothing happening. There's nothing happening, no breath happening, no coming, no going, but you're there. And you can see that nothing happening, no thought coming, nothing, absolutely stillness, and can control the features of them. And you can see that you are able to stay in that state for as long as you want. And you're controlling that features. You can feel that you can be in a state of undisturbed state, mental undisturbance, you can say, where nothing is disturbing you, and hence no breath is happening to you. Till then, having reached the fourth dhyana, the mind becomes empty. That means completely still, laying the way for realization, and now begins the journey for realization of the truth. Now the journey has just begun. Okay, Samadhi has just, it's like your entry for you to now start realizing the truth. Before that, there is no way you're going to even realize the truth with the mind so disturbed and agitated. Okay. O monks, why are you taught to count the breath and focus on the mind? There are 4 reasons. One is to do away with suffering. Second is to condition the mind to avoid agitation. Third is to detach the cause and conditions so that bad karma of death and life cannot act. And fourth is to enter into nirvana. Okay, so there are 4 reasons why we teach or tell people to count the breath and focus on the mind. Suffering, to do away with suffering. Suffering is just because the mind is not focused. Once the mind is focused, there is no suffering. So one is to do away with suffering. Second is to avoid the agitated mind, the mind that gets usually agitated, to avoid that. Third is to detach from the cause and conditions so that the bad karma of life and death and all those cycles, that doesn't follow. So there is no cause and condition rule applied there, because that's the third thing that we detach ourselves from. And because of that, in the fourth, you enter into nirvana, that is complete stillness. Just like the analogy, the day is gloomy due to 4 reasons. Example, a day is gloomy because of 4 reasons. One is the sun is shaded by clouds. Because the sun is now covered with the clouds, that is why it is gloomy. Second, the air is dusty. That is why it is gloomy. Third, it's windy. That is why it is gloomy. Fourth, it's because of something, some smoke. That is why it is gloomy. So 4 reasons could be the reason that the day is gloomy. Either the sun is covered by the clouds, the air is dusty, it's too windy, or there is smoke. Because sun is there shining bright, but the day is gloomy because of these 4 reasons. Similarly, okay, our realization to truth, our entry into the nirvana is obstructed by an agitated mind, a suffering mind, a mind that is linked to the cause and conditions. This is why we need to let go of all these things and then enter into perfect nirvana. Breath counting does not achieve the intended result, also due to 4 reasons. Now, there are 4 reasons because of which breath counting cannot achieve the intended results. One is the worry of death and life. Okay. 2 is much calculative in life. Too much calculative in life. So 1 is worry of death and life, and too much calculative in life. So now let's find out this analogy, okay, that the day gloomy with the person's ability to not achieve the breath counting. So one of the reasons that he is not able to get the breath counting right is because he is worrying too much about life. He is too calculative. Everything is calculating. Such a person will not be able to achieve the breath counting. Second, he is eating too much or sleeping too much. In that, definitely lethargy will come in. Such a person will never be able to complete the count. Okay. Third, the Yogacharyan is too tired. Physically, he is exhausted. He cannot even pay attention. So, forget such a person to even go into dhyana. He can go into sleep for sure, but dhyana no. So, such a person is tired. And the fourth is he is in a wrong place, meditating in the wrong place and cannot remove the bad karma. He is in a place where it's not right for him to pay attention, and that is why he is not able to remove the bad karma. They just keep on coming and coming and coming. So much disturbance that the mind is just not able to get to that stillness. And hence, because of these four reasons, even though there is an opportunity, he is not able to finish the count. And that is, one is too much calculative about life, too much lethargy because of eating and sleeping too much, lazy. Third is exhausting yourself and feeling tired. Fourth is practicing at a wrong place so that you are disturbed too much. So these are the four reasons because of which one cannot actually practice the counting of breath. O monks, there are signs associated with each of them. During meditation, suddenly think of other things and lose the mind. This is due to too much of thinking and too calculative. Now they are giving us, see, the sutra is giving so much detail into why would somebody have a problem with everything, then there are signs that one can associate it with. So during meditation, suddenly you think of other things and then lose the mind. This is due to much of thinking and too calculative. So person who's a thinker, a lot of thinking and lot of calculations and lot of always engaged in kind of protective or kind of defensive or kind of calculative methods of looking at things, is going to view at everything in 100 different thoughts. And such a person, when you are giving him a counting, he is not able to count because the mind is lost into so many other things and he is not able to finish the count. The joints, bones are painful and cannot sit long due to much of eating and sleeping. When his joints, bones are painful and cannot sit too long is due to much of eating and sleeping. When the body becomes heavy and the mind becomes drowsy and sleepy, when the body is heavy and the mind becomes drowsy and sleepy due to tiredness, we can sense that. So when you are practicing, when you can feel that, today the body is very heavy and I feel very sleepy, drowsy, then you should know that I am tired and I am not able to finish my count. There is no other reason. When I am able to sit but my joints are paining, my bones are paining, then I should know that I have been too lethargic, maybe time for exercise. Get up and do some exercise, get yourself up, get up and then sit, practice again. When you are able to not pay attention, your mind is thinking a lot, that means your mind is completely lost into so many things, different things. Okay, so that is because of your nature. You need to condition that self. Then last, the fourth one is, keep changing the sitting place but fail to focus on the breathing. Sometimes it's like this, sometimes put this, sometimes that way. A person who is changing all these things, you should understand that is because he is not able to focus on the breathing. This is due to bad karma disturbing. There is something around that is disturbing him. Okay, maybe for us it would be normal, but something is not disturbing him. Let him find his own comfortable place so that he can sit and practice. Then the Yogacharyan must analyze what is the reason that disturbs the counting. Okay, every person who is doing the counting practice, okay, even the Yogacharyan in those days or a Shunyati today, they have to understand this thing. You have to analyze the reason that disturbed your counting. Then keep your practice following the dharma. Okay, keep your practice and following the dharma. After studying the sutra and sitting again to meditate, detach oneself from the cause and conditions. When I say cause and conditions, the 6 roots and the 6 bounds. Okay? The mind does not think of corrupt thinking. When you detach yourself from all the cause and conditions, there is no way that the mind is going to arise. Without the mind arising, there is no way there is going to be any kind of corrupt thinking. Then even the bad karma can be overcome and prevent the misfortune from happening. With this, even the bad karma that is probably with us, that we are supposed to go through in our life, even that bad karma will be washed off, and all the misfortune in your life will be gone. This is how powerful this practice is. Once the mind is steady, all its misfortunes are washed away. No way it's going to damage you. Okay, so this is the, you can say, essence of this chapter. How can one prevent misfortune, completely to be washed away from the life and make your life more fortunate, full of opportunities, and everything working in sync is through the practicing of the Anapana Smriti. And that is why when you look at the whole practice that we are going, as we go deeper into it, we realize that the practice looks simple on the outside, but it is very, very intricately or designed, going all the way 2500 years back from the Buddha himself. And we are practicing the same Anapana Smriti that Buddha practiced. And maybe we will be able to experience the same thing if we do it with the same honesty and sincerity. We will be experiencing the same peace that Buddha experienced. And that's what we want today. We want peace, because the efforts for prosperity, when done with peace, will definitely give us the results what we want. And hence, this 4th chapter, practicing of Anapana and Smriti, is an important chapter for us to understand. It has shown us 2 important things. That was the 2 corruptions that we don't need to get involved with and avoid ourselves. One is making sure that we are not confused. We don't cross our numbers. When we are told to 1 to 10, we only count to 1 to 10, and do not lose your focus by when you lost your number. So don't do that. That is basically when we overcount. That is carelessness. So we have to be more attentive and focused. And then we learned about the 6 self realizations. So you don't need anybody else. Ours is a self-realization school. We don't have a guru. We don't have a teacher. Everything is personally experienced. Everything has been a self-realization, and everybody speaks what they have experienced. So there is no forcible way in which we teach or tell people. We just inform them. They go on their journey. They experience it themselves. Okay. So thank you so much, and see you next week. Bye-bye.